whenever you press escape, it will go for this. So now I can start in a new script file. So after doing a click onto the script file, we can start writing a script file. This script file can be designed such that it can have your entire documentation also quite easily. You can do it. I will have a double percentage here. I will write determine coefficients. Now I will roots of simultaneous equations. Then I will just give some description for this. This is what an equation. This I can have it will solve ax equal to c equation. I can write what is meant by A is my coefficient matrix. Then C is my constants, kind of things. Then I will write inputs, what I needed inputs. In this input, I need a coefficient matrix A. This is what A is near. Now I am giving a name for this coefficient matrix. Then equal to is an assignment operator. Then square bracket I will start. We'll just look at the PPT, and so this is what an entire matrix you want to write it. So 5 to R is nothing but one of the variable we need to create previous to this. I'll go into this. I'll say it is in R equal to input. Enter the value of R, and then I'll complete this. So it will display on the screen. It will ask you the value, enter the value of R. So then I will have a 5, then 2 into R. Then I'll just make it small size and I'll keep it here. Sorry. R. Then I will have a second, third element is R. Then I have to enter for next row. That's what I will provide in a semicolon. 3, 6, 2 into R minus 1. Then semicolon. Then 2 R minus 1 and 3 into R. So this way we created a coefficient matrix. Then we need to create a C as another matrix, which is C is equal to 2. Then next row 3, next 5, and then complete it. Then put up a semicolon at the end of this. So whenever we are going to determine simultaneous equation, make sure that its determinant is 0. If determinant is 0, then we can say the equations, whichever the equations, maybe 3 equations, maybe 10 equations, they are not touching to each other. That indicates, means you will not get a unique solution for this. So if determinant is 0, that solution for this type of simultaneous equation doesn't exist. So that's what will determine the determinant of A, which is determinant is in a function inbuilt into the MATLAB. So you can have a determinant of this. Okay. Then this is what the way. This is a second phase starts here as a logic part. Then we are determining determinant. I want to see whether it comes to be a 0 or something. Then I want to determine the x variables. So here there is one more command, that is A divided by C. We know it. That is nothing but A divided by C it will do. But there is one more command into the MATLAB, that is a backslash. That is an overloaded operator, we can say, which will here it is in a matrix. You can't have an A matrix divided by this C matrix. So what is to be done? A matrix means you want to determine this AX is equal to C. Ultimately you want to determine C. X means what you are going to do? X equal to C divided by, if you have only single numbers. If you have a matrix, what you have to do? X equal to, you need to determine inverse of it. Means I can have an inverse. of A multiplied by C. So to determine an inverse of it, we are using a backlash command. And it will determine x. So I can have a display. It will roots of simultaneous equation. Then I will have a display x. That's it. So we can now save this file with any name. It is not in a function. You can save by any name. I will say it is in a roots simultaneous equations. Okay. And then we'll run it. We'll keep this MATLAB command aside. With this, we'll check out any kind of an error. That's what we need to have on a parallelly. You can just look at this. So run this. It will ask the value of r. I will provide value of r as an 1, and it will determine and it will do the processing. Here it is now displaying one thing. You can observe it. So here r is my input value. So obviously it is now showing here r equal to 1. R equal to 1 it has taken. Determinant it has determined. It is coming 64. If this determinant is somewhere 0, what it happens? There is no solution. It will not show you the appropriate solution x1, x2, x3. It is not going to intersection of these lines with each other. That is what happens. If it is a two variables only, it will have an align. 3 variable means it is a plane. 4 variables, some more dimensions you need to incorporate. So here x we have determined. That's what it is displaying, these 3 values. Then here roots of simultaneous equation, and it is going to now display the simultaneous equations out here. Now what is so next part we'll look at it. What is the way we need to do this? So this you can just observe. I'll just make it full screen. Then next you want to have an if else kind of an logic. In this if else type of a condition, means if is in a command which is already stored into the library of the MATLAB compiler. In this if, then after that you need to have some logical condition, and if this condition is true, means it is going to, if it is showing this yes, the x is less than 1, okay, it is less than 1, then it will, these statements will be executed. If it is not, then it will, that control goes to the next point, that if x is greater than 0 or something, or remainder of n divided by 2 is equal to 0, then in that case it will have this will execute, these statements will execute. Then defaultly, if any of these 2 conditions doesn't satisfy, this if else condition or logical condition doesn't satisfy, this it will show you these statements. So it will execute these statements. So we'll now have one simple execution on this. We'll go for another program. Then I will have n is equal to, I'll say it is a 5. Before that, try to write most demo of if else condition. N equal to 5 I will put. If n is less than 0, automatically it will indent it. You need not to worry about it. So display input must be positive. Okay, so this is what it will display it. Then I will now write an else. Once I will write an else, automatically it will shift it to the left side. That is what the beautifulness of all these editors. N, that is n number. I am going to put up a remainder of divided by 2. If this is what an equal to, previously we are using an equal, this indicates assignment operator. If I put up a double equal to, indicates comparative operator. So equal to 0. Then it is going to calculate a is equal to n divided by 2. Means obviously it will return into a single number. It is not a decimal number. And then I will have default condition if else and this, then it will determine a is equal to n plus 1 divided by 2. This is also going to calculate the, and lastly we need to provide an end as in one single symbol. So here what is going to happen, we can just observe now. When we are going to write it, I will now give the name for demo if else. Okay, we'll start in MATLAB here, we'll just look at this, then run it. If I provide n equal to 5, what is going to happen? It is going to calculate n equal to 5 is greater than 0. It will not display the input must be positive because it is skip this, means it is less than 0, it is not there. That's what it will not, control will not go into this particular loop. Here it will check out, reminder, n is 5 is a odd number, so it is a determining even number, so equal to 0 it will not happen. So obviously it will go to the next control. 5 plus 1 divided by 2, it becomes 6. 6 divided by 2, it becomes 3. So if you change here minus 5, just look at it, what it happens. It should display this. So input must be positive, it shown. If my number is a even number, that is n equal to 10, we can have this way. So a is equal to 5. It has calculated this. So you can provide it is an else if condition or something, you can write it here. That also beautifully you can provide it. So this is what the way you can execute conditional statement. After this conditional statement, we'll now move towards further more detailed conditional statements. So next is a conditional, here it is in a looping. So there are two type of statement. One is if else type of condition, another is in a switch. We'll discuss that switch later on, but we'll first of all look at the how to do the one thing repetitively. That is what in a looping. There are two types of loops. One is we can have a fixed number of iterations, and another one is you can have decide a number of iterations based on certain condition. That is what it is called as a while loop. So in this case, you can have a for loop as a condition. You want to determine a factorial of any number. So to determine factorial, what is the way we do it? So we normally do it. Factorial we normally determine this way. So I'll just go into the factorial. Factorial determination like this. I can have I want to determine n factorial. Means instead of n, I will write 5 as a factorial. When I am going to write it, I will have 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. Every time I am going to reduce one number. Okay, so obviously I want to have such kind of loop, factorial determination. So whenever you are going to write anything, you are going to create any new program, my request is that you make sure that it is a clear all and CLC, factorial determination. So for that purpose, I will now have after this I will provide an input, then n equal to, I will say it is 5. It has to execute this way. Okay, then I will write a for as in a command for it. You can just look at this for how it is going to execute. So for, then you need to write in a certain index. I'll give I as an index. So then I want to have a start increment. I will start with 1 because we are going to write the program this way. Now instead of 5 4 3 2 1 multiplication, I'll write 1 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 4 and multiplied by 5, and then I will stop. So anyway, if you are going to change the sequence, output will be the same. So 1, then use a colon, not in a semicolon, because it is an incrementing operator. So what is the step size? You want to give 1 as a step size. and what is the place you want to stop? That is the last statement, that is n. So then I can have an factorial. This is what then a variable you want to store it. So I can have an I into, I will multiply with a previous fact value, then I will go on displaying, and I will say it is an into bracket display bracket I fact and close this loop, and I will say end. Okay, but here it is, we have not defined a fact. So you can just run, if you run this program, you will encounter one error, and 90% of the programmer will get confused into this, because we have not defined any variable. Here it is on a recursive type statement you can have. Fact is, you should already know the fact. If it is not there, obviously it should return an error, and it shows an error. Fact determination, I will give the name for this. Okay, so it is now returning error, an undefined function or variable, because it is not finding the value of fact in first loop itself. Okay, so in that case, what is to be done? You need to define this fact as a 1. You want to do a multiplication, that's what you are going to have a 1 as a value, default value for fact. If you are going to have a summation, such things, you want to do a sum of it, so you need to have a 0 value, because any number, if you are multiplying with 1, it will be the same number, it doesn't change the value of the number. If you are going to add it, if you are going to have a summing operations, what you have to do? If I add any number with a 0, it will never give never change the value of the number. So that is what it happens. So now we'll run this program and we'll see it. So fact, we have defined it. Now you can just look at this entire sequence of operations. It has a fact 1 is now defined. Okay, then here it is an I increment started with a 1. Okay, so it has 1, it has calculated already. Fact is having a 1 value, and it is 1 into 1, it will display as a 1 here. Okay, then this is an index. I is nothing but an index of the loop. Fact is my actual value in the loop. So if my value becomes 2, means increment by 1, 2, previously stored value in the fact is 1, 2 into 1, again it becomes a 2. Then 2 is already there into the loop, well, that is into variable fact. So what it happens, 2 into the next index is 3. So this is what the next index 3. So 2 into 3 becomes 6, and it will display the 6. So same way you can just look at the other operations. So now your I value becomes 4. 4 previously value was a 6. This value was 6. 6 into 4 becomes a 24, and it will display a 24 here. So now we have a fact value 24 multiplied by 5, then it becomes 120. If you want to determine any number of factorial, any value of the factorial, you can just now change the value of n. You can get all the values. You can just look at this. Factorial of 10 becomes 3 lakh 60. So 36 lakhs 28,800 something. So if you want to avoid this display also, you can just put up 1. So you can go on looking at this. So this is what the way you can use a for loop. Whenever we are using a for loop, what it happens, we should know how much amount of you want to do the increment. Now I want to have an increment, I will provide 2. Means what will happen now, index number is now starting with a 1. Then second index number will not be a 2, but it will be a plus 2. 1 plus 2, it becomes 3. 3 plus 2, it becomes 5. 5 plus something plus 2, it becomes 7. Likewise, it will go till what is the value of the n. So that is the way this for loop works. Means you know the fixed number of iteration. In that case, this type of loops will be used. Now we'll look at how to generate a factorial function for this. How to use this logic for a certain function. So I'll show you the function, how to write in a function. Function is nothing but a small program which will create it will create a repetitive kind of an activity. So for that purpose, I will now write in a function. Function is the name of that particular file. Then I will give the what output variable you want, that is output argument I can write, fact. Then I will say it is in a factorial underscore number n. I will give the name for it. And then what is the input you are looking? You want an n as in a number. Okay. Then you can write in a this program determines factorial of number n. So example I will give example how to use this function, and I'll give the n equal to 5, then it will display factorial which is equal to 120. But before that I need to tell how to use into the command window. Factorial underscore n. So these are all to be put into the command window. That's what I'll write it into command window, and this will be an output from the command window equal to 120 something. So this I am going to write it for intentional purpose. These are the only comment statement. It will not be used for execution purpose. Then you can now copy down all this logic. So you copy down this logic, put into this program, okay, and then avoid this display also. Okay. Now if you want this fact return, I will say it is a fact, means it will give back this fact value. How it works, whenever you are going to call this function as in a name factorial underscore n, it will take this n equal to automatically whatever the value you are going to provide, and then it will process it, and it will determine the final value of fact, and it will return the fact value as an output here, and it will be stored into this a single number, and so that is what it works. So I can now save this file, and file name should be the same as this name. This is what the factorial n. You can just observe what is the name. So I'll just highlight this part, save this factorial underscore n. Now I will save this file. Means whenever you are going to call this function onto the MATLAB, I can now clear all CLC. Then I will say it is a fact n equal to 5. Sorry. Then factorial. I have created this function because rest of the functions are into the MATLAB itself. Then I will provide n as a function. This is what it is called as a calling of the function and getting the work from this. So it is showing some error. We'll now go into that particular link here. So okay, so written, I will not write any command like this. I'll save this once again, and then again I will run this. It is going to tell me this value. Now it is showing some error. So we can now identify what is the error for this, why it is showing this error. So because previously we put it 2 as an increment, here it should be, actually increment should be 1, it should not be 2. So I'll now change this to the 1, and then again save it, and then run once again. It is now showing this value. So you can create any kind of a function, or you can have any kind of a function you can create, and you can enjoy this. I can now even use a factorial as a factorial n as in a 10. It will directly determine the value of factorial. Now, this is the way you can create your own function. You can understand. So that is the, I can have a 15th factorial is 10 raised to 12 something. So you can just have a 150 something, it will go to the 2 raised to 65. So this is very huge number you can create. You can have a 200 as a factorial, or 20 as a factorial, or something. It will go to the infinity, because if it is going more than 300, e raised to 300 something, it's a very huge number, and we most of the time doesn't use it. That's what it goes to the infinity. So we have today seen how to use this simple logical, how to create in a script file, then how to create a if-else loop, how to use this for loop, and how to determine the function using any for loop or any if-else condition. Okay. So this is all for today's session.